In fairness, I didn't shoot the McCree, which I probably should have. Touch. Okay, don't touch then, that's fine. Either way, I only came into this to make sure I wasn't getting lag issues, which I no longer am. Alright, let's get back to Nepal. Okay, let's think. Who am I gonna spectate? Bill's a new addition to the team, so I think I'll spectate him. Right clicking is fine, right clicking, it's all good. Master Gen burst. Bad mentality placement, should have placed her on the corner, but admittedly you're in a panic. Terrible aim. Hasn't done a single point of damage yet this game. He's healing nicely though. Very bad window. That was a terrible window, in fact. He should not have been playing that close up to the fight. I mean, he died like, what, right here? He should have been back here. Or he could have even been here. Playing this high ground, right? Let me just quickly... Okay, you gonna stop lagging? Thank you. Nope, you are not gonna stop lagging. Cool. Okay, now you're gonna stop lagging. Thank you. Let's grab the... Let's go orange. No, let's not grab orange because the point's orange. Let's grab blue. Okay, so... You were playing, so your team was like in the point, roughly, I think. Hold up, I'm gonna check. Okay, so your team was engaging from here, right? Your Orisa is over. No, Queso's dead over here. Okay, so I'm guessing this was you guys rotating around, and the Orisa just died on the way around. I'm not sure. But in this position, you can stand here, you can stand here, you can stand back here, you can stand on the stairs, you can stand back here, you can technically as well just stand here, be able to peek around the corner if you need to get away, or if they're coming around this side, you can just jump up to this high ground and then rotate to here, where you can see it on here. Instead, you're standing here and you're walking into the middle of a fight, from what I notice. They cap the point. And what you do is instead of, you know, playing a bit far back and helping your team, you walk in with them. If you're playing like this is why you die, because the Zarya can flank around here, and this is a terrible window as well. Like, who does this get? The Zarya was here, and you threw a window into here when they're re-engaging from here. This is the glory of looking. This is the glory of looking around as Baptiste, right? For example, you were standing here, right? There was one person in front of you, two people to your side. You could have looked, realized, oh yeah, they're over there. The Zarya's alone, we're going to kill the Zarya, so we don't need window for it. I'm just going to back off around here because of the re-engage coming through the hole in the Rhine, right? You should not have been playing in that close up to the fight in any case. Like, you could play right here. You get an entire sightline of that general side of the point. You could even play here to just get like a literal total sightline, especially if you want to push up a little bit to peek that corner. It also gives you a very nice spam angle in the form of just being able to shoot directly forward through here. It also gives you a very nice view of main, so if you can hide behind this, but if you want to peek around and see where they're coming from, if there's a flank, look at that. By just moving around here ever so slightly. This is a very good spot to play. This is a very good spot to play. Back there is a pretty good spot to play, and the high ground above me right now is a very good spot to play in that direction. Yeah, you're walking into the fight with your Reinhardt when, I mean, yeah, you're playing bunker, you should stick together, but you're not one of the players that needs to stick together. You need to be viewing the entire fight, checking for flanks, calling out those flanks, using your regen burst off cooldown and just pummeling heals into your team, as well as, of course, getting a good angle for damage, right? You are here. Say, for example, I don't know, Zarya doesn't die here, and they re-engage through the side. What's your angle for damage here? They re-engage, they've got a Rhine shield blocking damage onto the Moira here, and then there's a Zarya here, who's not dead. You could shoot at the Zarya, but then you've got a threat from this side. Whereas, if you're playing back here, for example, sure, you would have seen the flank coming through from here, but it at least gives you a nice angle for damage as soon as they initiate into here. Say, for example, that guy stays alive and the Zarya stays alive. And that could genuinely happen, right? There are times where you won't kill that Zarya. There are times where she'll kill you because you're playing too far up. When you can play back here, prevent your death, get some more heals in, put some damage into that Zarya and this entire choke point as a whole, because they're going to re-engage through here. So generally, that you need to think about your positioning as Baptiste, because that is one of the main things that will carry games for you. Your positioning, charging up your, especially, right, to reposition quickly, charge up your amp boots. Like, I see you on Baptiste, right? You weren't charging up your boots very often here. In fact, I don't think you did charge it up once. You could have crouched here just in case a Zarya was coming onto you. Because look at this situation. I mean, you're playing here, where the Zarya has a direct sight line onto you and can burst you down in a second flat. There's a Mei right here who can multi-freeze you. And then obviously there's a Moira here just healing them all up. In this situation, you shouldn't be playing here. You should be playing back here. And then, obviously, in case Zarya does rotate around and start beaming you down like she just did, just have your Exa boots charged up, and then whoop, you're up here now. And then you can rotate up here, rotate around, play here, and then have a very good sightline onto point, as well as spamming in through this mini choke. You spam at anyone that comes into this general sightline on the point with your left clicks. And there is an animation cancel for your right clicks and left clicks on Baptiste, which is a tech I'm going to show you now, because I see you not doing it. And it comes very useful when the enemies and your own teammates are lined up in front of you, with your teammates in front of you, and then the enemies behind your teammates. I'll show you what I mean. So, practice range.
No dying on my watch.
Okay. So you're healing your team. Say for example, that bot there represents the enemy team, and this bot here represents your team, right? So you're having a long range poke war, or for example, if these were closer, say for example these like here and here, you can still use this tech. So there's an animation cancel, because it's the same firing speed, right? So what you do, you right click and left click, right click, left click, right click, left click, right click, left click, right click, left click. Same on this. Right click, left click, right click, left click, right click, left click. Right? You do it like that because let's time this. So 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 shots in 5 seconds. Ready? 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi. You basically get, you only lose out on, what, half a shot of healing if you do that animation cancel, plus you're putting in damage constantly, and plus that's because I didn't do the animation cancel correctly. See, I missed out on that one there because I just didn't do the animation cancel correctly, because I don't know these techs. Well, I know the techs, but I don't know how to do them correctly. But in situations like this where, you know, the enemies are lined up and you can just spam into chokes, like if you're playing here and that's the enemies right there on the other side, you've got a very nice choke to just spam them out whenever they peek into that general area, and you can heal your teammates doing so. Like so, see? And what you were doing is you were doing... not really shooting anything, that's what you were doing. Whereas you can do this to just output the maximum damage into the enemy, because it's the same firing speed regardless. And instead of playing this close up to your team, where for example, if there is a gap here where the flanking Zarya can just beam you down, charge up your exo boots, do the animation cancel, and then when they realize, yo, this Baptiste is being a threat to us, boom, jump up, and then get to high ground, and continue. If they come anywhere near your team, they're just going to get spammed out by you, yeah? That is a position you should be going for. That is a tech you should be going for. That is the animation cancel. And yeah, you didn't do any of that on Baptiste. You sat there, you healed, occasionally you shot, but you didn't combine them together fluently. And that is the thing. Baptiste is all about fluency, cooldown manipulation, positioning, stuff like that. You need to be fluent in your Baptiste gameplay to be a good Baptiste. Let me show an example of exactly what you're doing. Oh, I like that from Shade actually, but yeah, that should not have been a Mei. Why was a Mei doing that? Holy Jesus. Okay, yeah. So let's see exactly what you're doing. So you're sitting here, you're frontlining, first of all. So you're frontlining in the front line of your team behind the shield, in front of your Orisa and your Ryan, mind. You could have been the one Maywalled here. You could have been Maywalled, and you would have had to charge Exo Boost and get out of here. But this Doomfist, he would have punched you into the wall. You would have died if you didn't back off here quick enough, right? That was very close. It was very damn close as to how you survived here. Like, look at this. Look at how, like, hold on. You're right here. If they wall this corner and wall up these players, you have to jump up and get behind before this Doomfist comes in and punches you straight into this wall. A better positioning here, for example, play behind here, right? For example, in fact I'll get an overhead view for this one. If the Doomfist is about to punch you, right, he's going to have a punch sightline that will be blocked by his team here. The only wall they can get punched into is this one here, right? If you're playing in front, you have the chance of getting punched into this wall, or if they wall you off with a Mei, you also have a chance of getting punched into this wall, right? If you're frontlining like this, and if you're with your team. However, if you're playing behind this, there's no way this Doomfist is going to punch you, unless he comes all the way around and fucking fucks you up. Which admittedly won't happen, because he is trying to play a Doomfist Mei composition, where essentially their plan is to bubble this Doomfist in. So instead of playing here, and letting that Doomfist get the value he wants, play back here. When Doomfist charges a punch, hide behind the wall, and still, you know, like, peek around wherever you need to heal. Like, there, you know? Just keep peeking back and forth whenever you need to heal, so you aren't at constant exposed threat to the Doomfist. Instead, you're here, you can be punched by the Doomfist, you can be, for example, if they have a pull, no, they don't have a pull, for example, if they, I don't know, wall you off, look at where you're positioned in accordance to your team. If the wall goes here, these guys are going to go on top of the wall, and you're going to be there. Which means these guys either have to int to help you, and then they leave their Orisa and their Moira behind. Sorry, their Lucio behind. And then there has to be a rotation around wall or on top of wall for the Lucio. And then obviously there's still a separation onto the Orisa. You could just play back here and not have to deal with that threat at all, because then no one gets walled off, we don't have to intentionally int, and then we're good. Granted, yes, you back off eventually, but it took you way too long. And now, you call for the rotation to go right side. I assume you call for the rotation to go right side at some point, because this is not a fight you want to be playing in a close range with Doomfist. If you play here, at least you won't get punched into a wall, yeah? So this is, like, as a whole macro thing for the team. Rotate around here. Like, at least if you're going to get punched into a wall, it'll be just, like, you might be able to not get punched into it, because it's right here. Like, for example, Ryan Orisa stands here, Lucio plays, I don't know, fucking wall rides up here or something, the Baptiste plays here, and then the Reaper and Mei just int with the front line. But instead, you guys are, like, in a close range. Where's Doomfist? Whoop. Orisa's dead. Or Mei. And you can see, what is LiiD doing right now? So LiiD wants to go for this rotation as well. You can tell he wants to go for this rotation. So you guys should be rotating around the right side here, because it is a better idea. LiiD is correct when he calls, yo, rotate around here, because this is just a better place to rotate around to against a Doomfist. And back to Bill. you're still here, not really in a position to spam. The reason you play Baptiste in this composition is because it's a bunker composition where you can get grouped heals, but also it is Orisa Rein double shield where you want to break the enemy shields to make the space for yourself, for your tanks to walk in, because otherwise your tanks are going to be behind shields and you're able to heal them. However, if you break shields, you'll still be able to heal them regardless. That is a reason you need to spam shields, and that is a reason you play Baptiste. If we weren't going to break shields, we would play Moira, we would play Ana, we would play literally anything other than Baptiste. But instead, we are breaking shields, so we do want you to go in, and not go in as such, but play in a position where you can spam in damage. Like I said, play back here, right? This gives you options, because if your team does call for the rotate, you can play on this sort of parallel long sight line around the back here, where you can't really be threatened by the Doomfist, because you're behind your team, and you have a potential escape route in the form of a health pack back there. You can also go to the high ground here. You can also just jump up and slide off this roof, and that like gives your team time to peel for you. Like, instead of playing this close up, and that's the thing you get from playing here, you get a really good rotation if you just walk around here, and then you can play here with Doomfist. If he wants to punch you, he has to come all the way around, or he has to jump off the high ground, slam you, uppercut you, and punch you. By which time he'll trade his life for yours, which, frankly, in their composition is not a good thing. So yeah, the rotation here is good. Go for the rotation. Nice. And now, what was that positioning? So, your Orisa's dead. Well, yeah, actually, your Orisa is literally dead. Right now, your Orisa's here. I'm not sure whether this is a pincer attack you planned, but KSO, you need to be with your team right now. Weeb.
Kenji.
Hi, I'm VOD reviewing. Do you wanna, watch?
I cannot.
You cannot?
Can't.
Why?
Physically inept, I got to do schoolwork.
Fuck, dude. Why are you on Overwatch then?
I just want to see the Pachumaris.
Okay, fair enough. Alright, so as I was saying, yeah, so this is just a terrible positioning. I mean, you're... Oh my god, you're frontlining when your Orisa and Rein are... Well, your Orisa's over here, your Rein's behind you. Yeah, I've already mentioned why this is bad. Play back here, please, for the love of god. If you're gonna rotate around here, play here. If you're gonna rotate on this side, play here, or play on this high ground. Or if you're coming from this side, it's literally just the same. Just play here or here. And then on this side, you do the same, you just play here. Let's carry on. So yeah, you had to force out your own immortality there because you were under threat when you really did not need to. Again, you're not really doing your heal animation cancel. So let's see, you just shot 4 times in a row. Because it's 12 bullets, 3 per shot. You shot 4 times in a row. And guess what would fix this issue? The animation cancel. Animation cancel and deal damage at the same time to heal these guys. Like, if you're playing back here, you will have the sideline flat animation cancel. You'll be shooting your healing bullets to your team, and you'll be shooting into this choke, where you'll at least deal some form of damage. Whereas now, you're just shooting, you didn't hit anything, you haven't done a single point of damage this game, plus you need to heal your team. So do the animation cancel, get the same rate of fire for both your heals and your damage, and it's great. We've already gone through this. You basically win this fight, but you still play too close. You let your guard down. You use a terrible window when there's only a Moira and a Reinhardt, Zarya in front of you. You already won the fight essentially. You did not need to re-engage with that window. I mean, it's a fine window because you get it back fast, because of this composition's nature. But either way, I mean, it's just not the best decision there to use the window. I mean, you could use it for next fight. You could have had a pull 5-strike window combination. That's something I want. Yeah, that actually, I'm going to mention that now. the pull 5-strike window combination is something I want you guys to practice, right? Say for example, you're holding, well, you're spamming into a choke like this, right? They're playing brawl, so they're going to try and int through. What you would do, you'd play this corner, and then you'd put your window directly here, and then you would pull, well, no, actually, you would pull, right, first. As soon as you hear the pull snare go off, so as soon as you hear, like, so you right-click to pull, and then the second time you right-click to activate the pull, window and 5-strike into the pull. Because that does 200, well, yeah, it actually does 200 damage to everyone who gets pulled. And if they're playing brawl, they're playing close together. So you get a pull on 6 people, deal 200 damage to every single one of them. That's 4 kills. Well, 3. Well, 2. Because of the Moira and the Lucio, and these guys just get cleaned up afterwards. The point is, that is a very good combination you guys need to keep. The pull with the window, you pull through, you 5-strike, and then you just spam them down afterwards. That is what you should have saved that window for. That's just something I want you guys to try out eventually. Because you're getting good at pull combos, but you still need to get your actual ultimate pull combos down. Also, they're rotating high ground, and LiiD wants to go for a flank share. You scout it out, excellent. May does need to back off here, you need to ice block. Oh, actually very nice wall, but now you don't have it for holding the point, which means they can just do whatever the hell they want. And let's see what happens here. It's fine, you got walled off. That's excellent from Flabby, getting that off. In order to not get walled off, and I'm not even going to criticize that, no, because you're rotating anyway. I'm not going to criticize that. This fight just went really well for you guys. Sure, you might have been able to play a bit further back or play high ground while you were scouting them. Maybe Baptiste, because Baptiste is very good for scouting. You can like access high ground very easily, and you can drop down and then just reactivate your high ground to see where they're going. He's very good for scouting. That's what a couple, like I've seen a good few Baptistes doing, is just using their extra boost to peek these sort of sight lines up here, and see where they're going. Because if you like, I don't know, play on this high ground corner here, you can see whether they're going there or there, and they basically won't notice you because you're behind this wall. You can just peek in and out. By which time, say for example they are going there, you jump down here and you just play here with, like, behind the rest of your team. Maybe play back here into this room, or I don't know. In fact, that's probably the only place you can really play. You can do the same on this side, or you can just take a high ground position up here and just spam heals down onto the corner. And by that time, while your team, well, actually no, on the other side of things, if they come here through main, you're up here, just rotate back through here, and then take the fight here. Play here, like I said you should do earlier, or play here, spam them out in that choke, because again, that's a very small choke that a majority of your bullets will shoot through. If you do the animation cancel correctly, shoot down, so you aim downwards, you right click, you aim upwards, you left click, aim downwards, right click, aim upwards, left click, and that would give you good heals, good spam damage, and it'd win you the fight because you're doing a lot of spam damage. However, in this situation, you're playing with your team, which again results in you getting walled off. If they had good target focus, they would have focused you and stunned the Reaper because they have Doomfist, and then bam, you would have lost the fight. See where I'm coming from? And now you're going for a very odd rotation where you're sticking with your Mei and you're playing in front of your tanks. They're already here. You're playing too close up once again. This positioning, I mean, granted, yes, now you're in a good position, but you were playing like right here. If they sped through onto you and focused you down as a main target, you'd be dead here, and they'd be able to just burst you guys down, despite the fact that you've got a bongo up. They'd been able to just swing onto the bongo, kill it, and then kill the rest of your team because of the lack of heals. It's a good thing you're back here now, because they're frozen up because of the mail, which thankfully Shade saved your ass. So again, you should not have been playing that close up. You should be playing, for example, here. This is a good spot to play because you're out of range. Or you can play back here, where you can just get some long range stuff in. You can see the entire fight. You can left click specific targets. You could also, technically, if you really wanted to, you could play back here, where literally no one can access you without getting through your team first, or going on a long flank around the point. Like, that positioning here was just not great. Granted, it doesn't lose you the fight, but it is still something to mention. Wait, give me a second, actually. Hold up. I'm gonna pause this. Wait, never mind. What am I doing? Keep it the same, and then just go back to save changes. Let's drag this out, and I can see chat, right? There we go. Give me chat. Give me chat. The Ulster. I don't know who the Ulster is. I also don't know who Joey Squirrel is, but review LiiD and his positioning. No, I wouldn't review LiiD yet. We're gonna be doing that at some other point, but not right now. I'm reviewing Bill or Fuzzy Fuzz. Let's see. So yeah, this is fine. You win the fight, and you're pretty much lost fight territory now. Again, playing a bit far forward. If there's someone that comes around and flanks, for example, the Doomfist, you'd be under severe threat because the team can't peel for you, especially playing in front of them. But generally in a poke phase, it doesn't matter as much. Oh, some nice shots there. Okay, big slam. Although, yeah, okay, I lagged. Cool. So, let's assess the situation. They've just beated, which means they're going to be walking onto your team. You're in a position here where you're very easily accessible. Well, actually, no, Doomfist is stunned, so no, you're not. In fact, this is decent positioning. I do like this. I think playing here is good, because they are going into point, which means if you're back here, you're basically opposite of them. For example, if you play here or maybe here, you get a lot of spamming, but you also get those right clicks. Remember, you've got to make use of both of those at once. Your right clicks and your flashes, and you have this pillar to hide behind if there is a threat. For example, if Doomfist threatens to punch you on, like, I don't know, an off-angle sightline here, hide behind this. Just keep doing it. If he tries to slam you, go back around, and you're good. This is very good positioning to hold on, especially on top of it as well, forcing the Doomfist to use uppercut if he wants to go on top of you, or for example, if the May just, I don't know, or if anyone else really does something stupid, for example, Lucio. He still has to contend with you being on high ground above him. You can still get those headshots in and heal at the same time. So this is a good positioning, instead of being here, and, I mean, granted, yes, you have to sightline onto that Doomfist, but if you had played here from the start, or if you, like, as soon as you realize they're rotating around there, if you jumped up here, you'd still have that sightline, plus you'd have a better sightline at the point. Well, actually, no, you still have a good sightline there, but this gives you high ground control, which is very good as Baptiste, because it just allows you to be uncontested, really. And LiiD charges, immediately striking Doomfist. Good beat. Then remind you, you're still playing too far forward. Look at where you are. If this May has multi-freeze. If this May just left clicks you and freezes you, and then for example the Zari comes in for a couple of right clicks and finishes you off because there's a shield behind you for it to splash on, this is terrible positioning. You would still get value out of the immortality, the amplification matrix. You would still get value out of the window if you were standing here, because you'd still be able to spam through. Plus, instead of having to aim, right? Instead of having to stand here and aim at your targets specifically, you can just stand here, and both of your targets are already lined up if you just shoot in the general direction of the targets. This is why playing along sightline is better, because you have to aim less. Granted, yes, it's a bit more full off, but it doesn't matter because you're using window. And you're still getting good heals in. There's a Doomfist behind you as well. If you get, I don't know, if KSO gets uppercutted here, and then for example KSO rotates right side to get away from the threat, you're still in this position where the Doomfist can punch you and you're dead. And again, look at where you are. Again, you're standing here, you're walking into the point when your Orisa has Fortify and can step on it. Stand here, please, for the love of God. This is the best positioning you could ever want. Literally, I'm going to do a top-down view for this, right? This is the best positioning you could ever want as Baptiste, right? You have a direct sightline to spam. You have direct sightline to heal your team. You have a very good location to jump up to with your Exo Boots. If he comes from high ground and starts threatening you, you can hide behind this pillar and still spam in. And if you get full on flanked from behind, you can jump up, rotate around to here, and then still spam in heals. Even if you're not getting damage in, they're missing a damage player, it's compensated. This is the best positioning you could ever want, and you're not playing in it. You get killed by a Doomfist because you're walking in front of your Orisa who is fortified, which means if you get punched into the Orisa. Bill! For a science guy, you aren't very smart, are you? Jesus. Granted, yes, you still won the fight because your team fucking clutches it out for you. But still, I don't like the fashion in which you won. You died twice when you could have died 0 times if you had played like a normal person. Like, genuinely, not the best showing on the first map there in Baptiste. Granted, yes, you probably don't play Baptiste. Either way, it's still not the best. Considering you and Tekno are... I would say you're one of the more passive players, but at this rate, I'm inclined to say all 3 of you are just complete feeders. I mean, having an aggressive support line isn't bad, but still. There's a line between aggressive and completely feeding, which you were on the... You were about to tread into the feeding zone there. In fact, you might have already. So, you're playing the composition I told you to play here. Ash McCree? Not quite what I told you to play, but it still works, I guess. Yeah, Ash McCree just ain't the best, bruv. If you go Ash Genji here, maybe. Granted, there isn't much high ground. Yeah, good point. This McCree is fine, I think. LiiD Fortify, thank you. You get okay. Let's have a look at exactly what you were doing there, Bill. Because I want to see how you got put off in the first place. Oh my god. Okay. 2 things. I have 2 things to say. High ground. Long sight line you can't be booped from. Why are you here? What value do you get in this position? Let's see. You heal your team. You spam the sightline. What value do you get in this position? High ground. Threat detection. Seeing the entire team fight. Healing your team. Spamming the enemy team. What value do you get in this position? Completely away from any threats. Very good sightlines to heal your team. Very good sightlines to put spam into the tanks. Very good view of where everything is. Good threat detection. You have a health pack. And I believe this is your Ash right here. I think. In fact, where are you, DPS? I think one of them's got to be back there. But either way, this and this are the 2 best positions to play in this sort of situation. Knowing they have a May comp, you could have just jumped up here and then, you know, just started spamming down heals and damage, right? Again, your job as Baptiste isn't to frontline and stay with your team, it's to provide the maximum damage and the maximum healing possible out of any support in the game, other than perhaps Zenyatta in terms of damage and Moira in terms of healing. Why? Why are you inside them? They're running a May. If they walk past the shield, they multi-freeze you, they get you fucked, they right-click your head and you're fucked. If there's Lucio, for example, where even is he? He's there. If there's Lucio, if you walk forward ever so slightly here, this Lucio just boops you off instantly. I mean, that just happened. We saw it happen. For example, if they have a damage orb, they threaten you, whereas if you're up here, you might not get as threatened by the damage orb. You also have a drop down to escape. You have a health pack over there you can use. Granted, you don't want to be out of the fight for too long, so this health pack's a bit more accessible. You also have a very good location for a mortality field here in the form of this corner, or if you're on this sight line, you can just, I mean, you can still throw it into that corner technically, you just need very good precision. Granted, this Mabel's here, so you'd have to rotate around, and then you'd be a threat. So this is the best position to be in, I'd say. This is second best, and this is like last resort. And obviously you get booped off. You almost go back on, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. In fairness, you're still winning this. I mean, Flabby's in the backline getting a couple of picks. Yeah, Flabby just carried you there. Flabby and Shade just carried you. And you almost lose the fight regardless. There's only 3 of you there. I mean, you almost lost it. But yeah, like, your positioning there is just terrible. The thing is, I'm going to keep bashing on about your positioning on Baptiste, because you need to put thought into that. I get it, you're not good at Baptiste, but you're going to have to play it a lot if you want to be on this team, because it is meta, right? Baptiste is meta, and if you're not able to play Lucio because we have Tekno Lucio, then you're on Baptiste, Zen, Ana, stuff like that. Okay, this is fine. I see your position. This is amazing, right? Because what you have here is a very, in fact, yeah, you have a very nice angle to heal your team. You have threat detection from right side, so you can drop down here if you need to, and then rotate around to the back left. There's also a very nice cubby hole you can drop down into if there is a threat on high ground here. As well, if they int, you basically just threaten them hard. Like, if they walk anywhere past these 2 doorways, you die. Sorry, they die. Because you'll be shooting them through these 2 doorways. You have a very good sightline to shoot either one of these. If you spam both, plus heal your team, which, granted, requires a lot of mechanical skill, so you have to go like, voop, 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 like that. But either way, it's still, you know, this is still a good position to be in for you, because you can spam this choke, and you can heal your team, and you have a very good spot to immortality in the form of, for example, here, because they wouldn't be able to see it, because they'd have to walk past this corner and view it. You also have a very nice one in the form of this cubby hole, for example, if these guys back up to here, or onto the staircase. You can also just immortality yourself, and it's very inaccessible because they have to shoot upwards to get it, which means they're not paying attention to the main fight. So you have a lot of good stuff here. As well, your regen burst will basically get anyone in the general vicinity of this. So I like it. This would be an okay position to be in, because you have peel onto Shade, you can heal Shade here. And you also can heal KSO without having to look too far away from the rest of your team, and you have a spam angle in. The issue with that is if they, I mean, there's no shield in the way here. If LiiD puts a shield forward, maybe, but without a shield there, this is a bad position to be in, because they can just spam you off the Ash, the like damage orbs that Sigma left clicks. And for example, if Sigma comes through, I mean, if he was playing a good Sigma game, he'd be on the other side here, or he'd be on an off angle back here threatening you. This would prevent that. Being here would prevent the Sigma from threatening you from far away. The Ash on the left side you can just play here, whereas now if the Ash comes through main, what do? Because you can drop down here, sure, but you have to keep peeking back and forth to heal your team, and the Ash will recognize that pattern very quickly. You can play here, sure, but then you lose sightlines onto your Rissa, because the Ash will probably play that long sightline there. You could play back here, and this would, you know, negate the threat of Ash. This would give you better sightlines to heal and damage. So yeah, this is like your second best. In this position now, this is your second best positioning, and this is probably your best. And this is like, I mean, this would be good as well. You get to spam out the Ash, you can play behind here, but the issue with that is you get dynamited in both your Ash, and you have to waste immortality field on yourselves. So yeah, this is second best positioning. This right here is first best. See what you're doing. You're healing, cool, you drop down, right. Cursed. Anyway, yeah, this right here. There's a Reaper right here. I mean, granted, he's almost getting pulled off the map, but you're still being threatened by Sigma who's shooting at you. There's still a Reaper right here who can threaten you. I mean, you could just stay on this high ground technically, or you can just rotate all the way around. Either way, you are completely parallel to your team. there's no way you're getting back to your team now, unless you go for a full rotate around here, which would result in you being threatened by, for example, the wrist pulls, the signal left clicks. You could get, you know, inspire procced by the brig, and the Reaper could TP and just, like, fuck you up. This, I mean, if you'd been playing over here originally, you would have had a very good position, because no one can really threaten you here unless a Sigma comes to the edge, in which case Tekno will boop him, so he has no option but to stay there. And you would be under, like, no threat. If the Reaper comes for you, it's fine. You can play up here, and you can just play around this pillar, make sure you don't get threatened by the Reaper. You can jump over him. You got a health pack accessible to you here. You can also just keep healing your team and deal large damage to the Reaper because he's still rotating around, or if he teleports this side of you, you still have a very good retreat in the form of this health pack over here. This is just generally not the best position to be in. Like I said, this is why this is the first best position. You have more escape routes than you would if you were playing here, because, I mean, yeah, they come out this side, and your team rotates to this side. What do you do now? Like, there's literally no way you're going to rotate back, whereas if you were here, you at least have a chance. And now you're being threatened by the brig, by the Sigma. Granted, the Sigma died, because, again, he got booped off by Tekno. For trying to go too far up and damage you. So generally, yeah, you shouldn't have won. Generally, you shouldn't have won that fight, but you did, because your team clutched it out and made some clutch plays. Again, I like this positioning now, implying that if they do go over there, which... What is that? What is that? Okay, I like this. You have a very good angle to heal LiiD. You can heal your Sigma on the... Oh, KSO, you god. I love you for playing this angle. This is amazing. Oh, I love that. Anyway. You have a very good angle to spam shields, you have a very good angle to just do damage, because again, it's, in terms of your crosshair, it's a small window, you can still deal damage through it. You're 63% in and you haven't got your window yet. Nah, I'm not too bothered, purely just because you haven't been spamming, so I don't expect you to. But yeah, this position is amazing. You can Immortality Field LiiD, you can Immortality Field KSO, if you want to drop it down into the cubbyhole, you can. If you want to head back for a health pack, you can. If you want to rotate around this side and go over there to that side and just be under less threat, for example, from a flank, you can, right? This is now probably the first or second best position. The second best position being this one, I think. Because you can still peek behind here. If there's a flank here, you can jump on top and over into the cubbyhole. Then they have to rotate all the way around. You have good access to healing Shade. You have good access to healing LiiD, and you have to just look straight forward and just like AD strafe, and that gives you your spam angles. KSO on this angle gets Immortality Field from you because you can see him directly, and your Immortality Field will also land here, or it would land here, like right where I am, which is very good. So yeah, this is just an amazing position you're in right now. I do like it. This and like this position here are first and second best in any order. Tekno is still being threatened up here. I like this from the enemy team, but he does go down for the boop, doesn't quite get it, gets pulled in, dies. Oh, Tekno didn't die. I thought he'd die. Yeah, and this is another reason that position is amazing, because you can rotate onto point as well. You have access to point, which means you can just push up into a team fight if you do need to. However, this was not the decision. I don't know why you pushed up into the team fight here, but it just wasn't the best idea. Either way, you still ended up winning the fight off it. So now you have a window. Just put it in main. Like, literally just put window main, prevent them from coming in. Come on, use your window. It's the first one you've had this round, and it's... yeah, it's good, it's good. Bongo and window is just, oh, it's unstoppable. That's actually sexy. Did you not play 3 rounds in a pool? I thought you played 3 rounds in a pool. You should have played Shrine, right? Did you not play Shrine? Unlucky.